I can't go on doing journalism because I have a baby and I can't go and do these long reporting pieces that I was doing.
I want y'all to listen to this.
And I thought, well, I'm going to write screenplays.
A very, very famous
money, and thank goodness I write screenplays, even if they aren't
actor
made into movies. It pays a lot better than journalism. Then
who originally started out being a journalist.
Mike Nichols.
But I want you to watch this part, please.
He invited me and Alice Arlen, whom I wrote it with, to Texas to watch him make Silkwood. That was really interesting. And that was when I think I truly became a screenwriter.
I knew big time that this charming, brilliant writer wants to be a movie director and will be, because she was out and out studying it.
Mike Nicholson, because he was originally a theater director, was very welcoming to screenwriters. Always wanted them there, always wanted their input. So I was suddenly watching something that I knew nothing about. And I was riveted.
How did that plutonium get in my house?
Did you put it there?
You know what? What are you, crazy?
As my mom moved into writing screenplays, her work became less autobiographical, but she continued to find herself in the characters she wrote.
You know, the first time we met, I really didn't like you that much.
I didn't like you.
Yeah, you did. You were just so uptight then. You're much softer now.
You know, I hate that kind of remark. It sounds like a compliment, but really it's an insult.
When Harry Met Sally was Rob's idea. Rob said one day in a meeting, let's do a movie about a man and a woman who become friends and don't have sex because it will ruin the relationship, and then they have sex and it ruins the relationship. That's what we started with. So I interviewed Rob and his producing partner, and they told me the secrets of men.
So she interviewed us, took all these notes, and then went back and crafted a screenplay.
From my script for When Harry Met Sally. Harry, why don't you tell me the story of your life? Sally, the story of my life? Harry, we've got 18 hours to kill before we hit New York. Sally.
The story of my life isn't even going to get us out of Chicago. I mean, nothing's happened to me yet. That's why I'm going to New York.
So something happened to you?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like I'm going to journalism school to become a reporter.
So you can write about things that happen to other people.
So I started with Rob as Harry, and, you know, in that sort of mathematical way, if he is gloomy, she is cheerful, and so that gave me Sally. I happen to be a fairly cheerful person, so Sally is more or less me. I am as big a nightmare when ordering in a restaurant as she was.
I'd like the chef salad, please, with the orange vinegar on the side and the apple pie a la mode.
Apple a la mode.
But I'd like the pie heated, and I don't want the ice cream on top. I want it on the side, and I'd like strawberry instead of vanilla if you have it. If not, then no ice cream, just whipped cream, but only if it's real. If it's out of a can, then nothing.
Not even the pie?
No, just the pie, but then not heated.
Uh-huh.
There was a really particular rhythm on the page, very, very short sentences that people there wasn't a lot of dialogue, but it was rapid and rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat.
Okay, there's this guy.
What's he look like?
I don't know, he's just kind of faceless.
Faceless guy, okay. Then what?
He rips off my clothes.
There are parts of When Harry Met Sally that feel as if they're essays. Just like the essays I used to write, only they're stuck in this movie in their own little dialogue way.
That's it? A faceless guy rips off your clothes, and that's the sex fantasy you've been having since you were 12. Exactly the same.
Well, sometimes I vary it a little.
Which part?
What I'm wearing.
The great scene about, faking the orgasm.
Right.
Was that scripted by you?
Well, no.
You mean the best scene in this movie?
What that was I asked them about their lives as single men. And then they said to me, okay, we've told you some secrets about men.
Yeah.
Now tell us something we don't know about women. And I said, women fake orgasms.
No, that's not possible. That's not true. Women really.
It's just that all men are sure it never happens to them, and most women at one time or another have done it, so you do the math.
You don't think that I can tell the difference?
No.
So out of this conversation came this scene. Well, then we did it in a read-through, and Meg Ryan said,
Well, why don't I just do it? And they said, would you do that? Oh. Ooh.
You okay?
Oh.
Meg, I think, had the idea of doing it in an incongruous place like a deli, and that gave birth to the scene.
Oh, God. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, 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 God. Oh.
And then Billy came up with the topper.
I'll have what she's having.
Your mother was one of the greatest observers of men and women and how men and women are with each other. And her movies reflected that.
Do you find that people think you're an expert on relationships?
I don't know that people think I'm an expert in relationships, but I definitely am. I am.
You are? So people can come up to you and say,
They don't come up to me, you understand, but if they were to, I would be glad to counsel them. At any given moment, total strangers could come up to me and I would be glad to give them advice about their relationships.
You know, little things that come up in life when it involves a career or relationship or whatever. And she would always have, you know, Dear Abby. She's always had the best answer to your Dear Abby question.
You wanted a straight answer, you went to Nora. You wanted to test something that you were unsure of, you went to Nora.
And she was certain about her opinions.
Yes.
Which a lot of people are not.
She had such strong opinions that they would just come out. I mean, she really felt, I think, a certain responsibility to set us all straight.
Did you get the judgment with her?
Endless. You can't do this. You mustn't do that. I would rethink this. You can't do that. You can't. Yes.
She was controlling in a way, but not without her charm. But she was in charge of certain things, and she was in charge of your life when you're with her.
A Mark. B Mark. Joanne.
She came to realize if she's going to have control, which I think her life was in part about, gaining control, she had to be a director.
Mike Nichols always says this thing that I love. He says that when you're a director, it's like making love, in that you always want to say, is this how other people do it?
Trust me, Jessica.
But I knew that if I was going to direct something, I needed a collaborator on the script. So I then write it with my sister Delia. The reason we both loved the book and wanted to make a movie about it was that it had so many emotional overlaps. It was about a mother who used the material of her life as material, which is what our parents did.
How dare you? How dare you use things that you know about me in public?
It's about everything we knew. It was about sisterhood, it was about working mothers, it was about a single mother, it was about ambition, which we totally got.
All artists use things from their lives, Robin, and I am no exception.
But This Is My Life was not a hit. So was she going to get another movie? She then did a rewrite on the Sleepless script and got hired as the director on it.
If you've just tuned in, we're talking to Sleepless in Seattle.
You called the radio station? Christmas Eve. He phones in one of those radio call-in shows, tells them
His dad needs a new wife.
I heard it. This kid calls up and says my dad needs a wife.
Get out here. Come on now, I'm not going to go through this alone.
The thing about movies is you have to make the tough decision, and often somebody got fired, and I was very happy to be her sister. It was not going to be me.
Kid needs a mother.
Because we did replace the actor on Sleepless, and thank God the young boy who came in was just perfect and wonderful.
The kid that we spent all of this time auditioning and getting ready and we loved and he was so great, freezes when he sees Tom Hanks. He can't act.
Phew, man, when she came and told me, she didn't ask me, what do you think if we replace so-and-so? She just said, listen, we're making a change, it's not working out. And I said, you're gonna fire the kid?
She'd give you that look. And we called that look the red dot. Your mother would look, if you got a double look, it was like you had that, a laser from a gun on your forehead and you're about to get whacked. People got caught all the time. They wouldn't read a new draft, and then you were done. If you talked about building the barn over here that was taken out 2 drafts ago, window or aisle. That's all I can tell you, Morning or afternoon flight. Could I have a word with you?
I don't know the exact number of assistants before me. I feel like it's around 10, maybe a dozen.
She spoke to actors sometimes in a way that some people perceived as hostile, but I didn't. I knew her and I loved her, and I was never afraid of her. I always wanted to please her. I knew her and I loved her, and I was never afraid of her. I always wanted to please her. I knew her and I loved her, and I was never afraid of her. I always wanted to please her.
Always wanted to please her.
Being afraid.
And the thing is, she counseled people. She gave counsel to people, I mean, she really helped people. Way beyond their career. When you got to know her, you could almost ask her anything.
Her advice had like a deep practicality to it. It was like a feeling like confiding in a friend and having them say, I understand.
And that takes a special talent to be able to do that. That's a God-given talent of being able to read people and understand them to where they basically feel very, very comfortable around you, or some may be inferior and intimidated around you. Please listen to a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to finish my point, please.
I always felt like I never had a mentor, but I had that in Nora. Kind of from Sleepless in Seattle on, she sort of was my mentor.
My mom was kind and she was generous, really generous. She was also stern and unfailingly honest, and the combination of those things made people seek her approval. It is very powerful to be someone who is both loved and feared. It is very powerful to be someone who is both loved and feared. It is very powerful to be someone who is both loved and feared.
And what he just said was absolutely correct. It is a very, very powerful thing for somebody to have that ability that is loved, but at the same time to be feared. They basically loved Jesus Christ, but at the same time they feared Jesus Christ because of his passion, because of his loyalty to his God, and they could tell that he was so asphyxiated on what that he was involved in doing that his words held a great deal of weight. Similar to that in which what is going on right now in my life pertaining to what people think of me because of the various videos that I have made and put out to the general public. And it's almost like doing live Broadway. And if I had an opportunity of being able to speak to some of the people that I have interviewed on video, regardless whether it was Tommy Moore or some of the assistants up there in the courthouse, or even people that I have hiddenly obtained various interviews from, I would tell them the same thing. It's almost like doing live Broadway before an audience of people, because the world is basically a stage. And whenever you're dealing with a market of people out there. They're going to have various opinions. They're going to have various ideals. Some are going to like you. Some are going to hate you. Some are going to admire you. Some are going to support you. And some are basically going to want to kill you. Because you're dealing with such of a diversified venue out there. It's almost like walking into a forest, not knowing if a snake's going to come out or a bear's going to try to get you, or if it's a little bird that just wants to rest on your shoulder or on your hand while you feed it. I mean, you really don't know what to expect whenever you walk out into the eyes of the Homo sapiens. I got just a little bit more I want to show you here, and then we're going to get on what I really want to say in my message. And once more, we want to thank those who have been involved with the Windmill Ministries in the past 3 years towards doing live shots either with public officials, policemen, or judges, or just some of the people that I have known previously in years past. We want to thank them for being a part of something that we feel like is, in fact, a masterpiece.
Did she zing people?
Yeah, I was a little irresistible because I feel like her allegiance to language was sometimes more than her allegiance to someone's feelings.
Right.
It was just too good of a setup sometimes for her, you know?
9 Jackson 1 marker.
I always wanted her to like me. I wanted her approval. I wanted her respect. I wanted to make her laugh.
That was the big one.
I probably made Nora laugh a handful of times in the 21 years I knew her, but it was just like winning an Oscar.
Now or never.
One of the things I always tell the actors as we work on this movie is that it isn't a movie about love, it's a movie about love in the movies.
Winter must be cold for those with no warm memories.
For many of us, a great deal of what we feel about love has been shaped completely by movies.
Tell me about love, though. I mean, is it unrealistic to think of love like Annie does? That somehow there is magic and there you can have that in your life? And
I think people go back and forth their whole lives. They start out believing in this very pure, simple, stupid way about destiny and how there's one person out there and you're going to meet that person. And then things happen, and eventually, finally, after many mistakes that you thought were destiny, you find someone who was your destiny, and you say, oh, I see. I had to go through all the false destinies to get to the real destiny.
Sam, it's nice to meet you.
Smile that cheers you. One face that lights when it nears you. One girl, you're everything.
I think there was a side of her that was romantic.
If you win it.
And she believed in true love. And she thought she had it. I don't know, I don't remember, we never talked about it, whether she thought she had it with Dan Greenberg. She certainly thought she had it with Carl. And she knew she had it with Nick.
The man she married in the last 20 plus years, Nick Pileggi, is a cousin of mine. I really am very close to Nick, and I never had a brother, and Nick was my brother. When he met Nora, she gave him a place where he could feel secure.
Nick wasn't afraid for her to be the star. She got to have a relationship. She didn't have to spend the whole time questioning. He wasn't going to wake up and be a drunk at some point or cheat on her or do any of the things that people do to disappoint you.
He wrote about guys who were street tough guys, who were, mafia types. She wrote about love and romance and all that. And in real life, he was a very soft soul, and she was tough.
I don't think she ever realized that she would be in that life, going to Vegas and having dinner with Shorty or Lefty or Louie. So she was having a different kind of fun that she never even assumed would come her way.
I always thought that she was the Dawn and Nick was the consigliere. He tipped everyone in her path so that her life would be better, and I'm surprised he never tipped you or he never tipped me.
He did.
Oh, he did tip you.
The first date. He had he'd gotten us a soap boat. And it was this boat made out of soap. And so he was fine.
He's such a guy, and she was such a lady around him. I remember him saying to me, God, she's got the greatest gams. What a gams on this broad. Like, wow. You know, she felt pretty and loved.
Since Nick, almost everything changed. Softer, less guarded, happy. That was a great love, and you felt it.
As my mom got happier, things between her and my father improved. There was at least a sense of détente between them.
Despite all the difficulties through the divorce, we were really great about what was going on with the two of you. And the results of that, I think we both thought were pretty great.
Contact Meg Ryan, America's now king and queen of romantic comedies, sort of with your help. What is it about it? If you could pinpoint it, what is it that
Two great brains, and the fact that they look like they're from the same food group.
When the movie came out and it opened well, she said to me, remember this moment because it's a hit and they don't come along very often.
But even the big hits got mixed reviews.
I think there was a disconnect in a way for many critics in that they knew her from her columns and from her books, and when these romantic movies showed up that were boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl, and it's all beautiful and big on the Empire State Building, the people expected something bad to happen, and it didn't. And they didn't know what to do with her in a way. Continue this persona. And they didn't know what to do with her. And it had to happen, and it didn't. And they didn't know what to do with her in a way. How dare she not continue this persona?
In fact,
I'm going to stop right there at this movie, that they didn't know what to do with her. That's the point that I wanted to make in regard to showing this, in addition to various talents, special people that we meet in our lives that has all kinds of life and all kinds of different ideals that sometimes becomes a bit overwhelming to some, in the regard that they really just don't know how to take that person. I really feel like that was the occurrence that happened with Jesus' life. And you can say, well, it's simply because he was ahead of his time. Well, was it because he was ahead of his time? Or was it because he had such of an unusual aura about him that this loving, gentle, kind, mysterious, but yet forceful individual was just hard to read? He was hard to understand. And because they couldn't quite peg him and compartmentalize him in a certain particular area, they was bewildered. They was astonished, fascinated. They was memorized by him, which made Jesus Christ of Nazareth one of the greatest entertainers in the world, of an individual that could make a speech and literally memorize and permeate the people that he was talking to in a group of 5,000 that no one else could do. And to some that watched that and observed that, said, isn't this a mysterious gift of a person that can stand on a rock and asphyxiate people's ears, eyes, hearts, minds, and souls to the point that they wanted to hear every literal word in not only how he said it, but the way that he said it. And this is what that I was talking about a while ago as far as doing live opera. And since then, we have seen other people that has done it in a more flamboyant, casual way that has come out in the way that they have. And I want to say this in the name of the Windmill Ministries missions. I understand that a lot of people didn't recognize and understand the reason why that I come back to 291 Thompson Road, Sharon, Tennessee, zip code 38255. I understand that a lot of people felt inferior. They felt intimidated. They felt frightened. They felt, my God, what is he going to do? You know, we've already went out here and we've spread it broad, to and fro and broad, that he's a maniac and that he's this and he's that. And some said that I was a devil worshiper and some said that I was the Antichrist. It's like, oh my God, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? Is he going to condemn us? Is he going to try to lash out at us? Is he going to try to condemn us all in the public eye? And my response to that would be, you know, the way my grandfather taught me, Kilmer Jackson, before he died. I don't remember my other grandfather. He taught me in the sense that, Dennis, if they're talking about you, they're letting somebody else rest. He understood the public. He understood the Homo sapiens. And he understood that there was a certain part of humanity that, regardless of how likable, how lovable, how intelligent, how rich, how poor, how big, how little, that part of humanity always comes together in people who stand out. And that there's nothing wrong with a person standing out, regardless whether you be old or young, regardless whether you be a judge or a sheriff, regardless whether you be a minister or a rabbi. There's nothing wrong with people standing out. And I think if there was a message that I wanted to promote today on this particular graph that I'm putting out to the general public, my message would be, you know, we live in a society today that everybody is frightened. Don't nobody want to give nobody a chance. Since 9/11 has occurred, it has separated and divided a lot of good people that has a lot of good intentions. And that's a way that terrorism can come in and can separate us and break us apart. And we all know what the cliche is pertaining to divided we fall. That's exactly what our enemy wants to do, our adversary. He wants us to fall as a society over here in the northern hemisphere pertaining to the Homo sapiens over here in the continent, over here in the continental. And we, as a Christian society, can identify his schemes. We can understand his techniques. And we have learned to go beyond that, to the point of me making some sort of reconcile with the general public here in this area of those that don't truly understand people, either like myself or some of the actors that you just got through seeing that I'm using for illustration purposes. Once more, in the 21st century, we are living in one of the grandest, greatest moments of humanity. This is a time that we can explore. This is a time that we can grow. This is a time that we can reach beyond the normal perimeters of the ozone, and we can reach for the stars, and we can go to places like the moon and Mars, and we can use instruments to be able to see other adventures out there that no other, listen to me, that no other generation up onto this planet has ever been able to succeed. So please, please, if you get anything at all out of this message today that I'm bringing forth before my viewers, don't blow it. Number one, don't blow it. It's an old cliche pertaining to an acting job of somebody that does a live screen Broadway show, and all of a sudden they've done an incredible, horrible job, and their boss looked at him and said, "You blew it. You blew it." And I actually passed out a card one time to one of my managers down in St. Augustine, Florida, pertaining to her actually blowing it towards not making good contact with the people that she was serving over, pertaining to her being a body shop manager. That she and it had a card with a person that was blowing a big trumpet, and down below it said, "You blew it." And the other thing that I would like to say is get over it. Don't blow it, and get over it, I guess would be the name of this particular ledger that I'm putting out to my live viewing audience, that hopefully some of them out there will be able to understand and appreciate the quality of that in which what has been going on, regardless whether it's going on with the court systems here in Weakley County, regardless whether it's going on with the political system here in America, pertaining to the White House and the Reagans and the Bushes and Homeland Security. I'm just hoping that there'll be people out there that will be able to identify what has been going on in my life, the purpose for it going on, and basically who my boss man has been towards doing things off the cuff has been God. He has been my editor. He has been my writer. He has been my producer, my publisher. He has been the person that has inspired me to put out my message to the general public. So if there's anybody that you need to give glory and honor to, kind of like Jesus Christ, whenever he could absolutely impenetrate an audience, he would petrify the people that he was talking to. If there's anybody to give glory and honor for that type of talent, it would be my Lord and Savior and my God, Yahweh and Yeshua and the Holy Spirit. Once more, I want to thank you for your time. Good luck to all of us, and shalom. Shalom from my heart to yours. And may we go boldly into the future where no one has gone before. For we will rise up as eagles, and we will walk and not faint. God bless you. Thank you.